Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into this video. So today I want to talk about the word testimony. We definitely use that word a lot in church and Christian circles, but what does it mean to give testimony? Now, it's often attributed to a law court where someone testifies of what they've seen or heard in a witness box, but ultimately it's to give evidence or proof to something. So for us as Christians, when we give testimony, we're giving evidence and proof to what we've seen Jesus Christ do in our lives. This is not just at our conversion, but what he's been doing since we've been saved. Now, the Hebrew word for testimony is the word ud, and it basically means, I love this, it means, do it again, Lord. Do you believe we have a God who is in the business of doing it again? Absolutely. That's why when we share our testimony, we're revealing to people and reminding ourselves that we have a God who is alive and is very much involved in this world that he's created and he's changing lives today. Now, the problem sometimes with testimonies is that I think for some Christians or many Christians, they don't feel like they have much of a testimony to share. So they don't often feel encouraged to share it. Maybe those who have a bit more of a dramatic story may sometimes get a bit tired of reliving their past as they say it. But whether you gave your life to Jesus in a prison cell or quietly with a parent during a bedtime story, behind the scenes, every testimony is the same. And the word that we would use to describe it is not just exciting, but mind blowing. As the Apostle Paul shows us in Colossians chapter 1, that when Jesus is received as Lord in someone's life, there is a cosmic, dramatic rescue scene that takes place behind the scenes. As the Apostle Paul says, we are rescued from the dominion of darkness and brought into the kingdom of his Son, whom he loves. That's every believer's testimony. And so, whatever your testimony is like, the most important part is what difference has Jesus made in your life since you put your faith in him? That's what people want to hear. They want to hear your story, and that will help bring the eternal heavenly truths of God, and it will make it relatable to people's everyday lives. But one thing I really love about testimonies is that you don't have to be a great theologian or evangelist or need lots of training to share it. You simply just need to share your story, to declare what Jesus did for you, like the woman at the well did, like the demon possessed man did in Mark 5, or the beggar born blind in John chapter 9. And testimonies are great because people love stories, and that is what you're going to be sharing, a story, your story. And people cannot argue against it because it's your own personal experience. And that story will open the door, we pray and hope, to further conversations about the glorious message of the gospel that God uses by his Spirit to save people. So why don't you have a go right now at thinking about your story and actually writing it down? So a very effective way to write down and rehearse your testimony is to fit it into a particular time frame. Being able to share your testimony in 90 seconds is a very effective way to do this. It's short enough for you to share in a conversation, it's long enough to have an impact, and it's easy enough for you to remember. And because it's 90 seconds, you can break it down into 30-second segments, starting with the first 30 seconds of what your life was like before you knew Jesus. The next 30 seconds will concentrate on how you came to know him or how you put your faith in him. And the last 30 seconds will be what difference he has made in your life since. And this can also help as well, because in conversation, you may not share all of it, but you might simply share the last 30 seconds, like what difference has Jesus made in your life since? Now, I'm aware for some people, it may not be so easy to pinpoint your journey with Jesus. For example, when you exactly surrendered your life to Jesus because you've always believed in him for as long as you can remember. But maybe if that's your case, you could say something like this. For as long as I could remember, I've always believed in Jesus through my church upbringing. But there was a time in my life where I really started to take my relationship with him more seriously, creating a desire to please him and love others the way that he loved me. So why don't you have a go at writing it down? Start with your life before, then share it with others in groups or maybe in pairs. Then the next 30 seconds, do the same and share it in your pairs. And then lastly, the last 30 seconds, the difference he's made in your life since, and then share that with others. And remember, that's going to be the really important bit. As a church, our vision is to help our communities live well. So you might want to drop that word in when it comes to regarding the difference that Jesus has made in your life. But if that's a stretch for you to do, that's fine. Just go with what you feel led to share. And as a church, as we seek to broaden our witness and declare the praises of Him who brought us out of darkness and brought us into His glorious light, we're going to produce a Live Well tract, which will be a little card with a QR code that we can give to people and they can scan it when they get home. And it will take them to a site which will include these 90-second testimonies. I'm going to choose some of these 90-second testimonies among people in the church, and I'm going to put them on that tract. And also, as we seek to launch a new church website, I'm going to put all our 90-second testimonies on there as well. So when you get some more time, get a quiet spot with good lighting, record yourself, and then send it through to Tolu or myself. So let me start by giving you my 90-second testimony. Before I came to know Jesus in my life, I would have described myself as two separate people. There was the Brandon that I wanted everyone to see, who would come across as confident and happy and carefree. And then there was the real Brandon, the one that only I knew, who was the very opposite. Instead of confident, I was very insecure, and there were many things I hated about my life. And the way I tried to deal with this, as well as putting on a mask, was to binge on drink and drugs as a means of an escape and as a means of finding happiness. But all that did after a while was make me worse and make me very suicidal. Christmas 2004, I had a huge meltdown and I lost my job and my home because of it. I ended up in a YMCA hostel and it was probably the lowest moment in my life. I remember getting on my knees and calling out to this God that my mum had tried to raise me up. And I said something like, if you change the way I feel, I'll do anything for you. Not long after that, I moved home, and my new neighbours so happened to be Christians, followers of Jesus. In our friendship, they would tell me that through Jesus, I could have a personal relationship with God as my Father, and that really, really appealed to me. From the moment I started trusting in Jesus, God started to make huge changes in my life. He gave me new desires, a want to please Him and live well. He gave me the ability to walk away from that destructive lifestyle that I've been living, and He gave me a wife and three beautiful children. But most of all, He's given me a greater peace about myself, and He's enabled me to achieve things that I could never do by myself. So there's my story. 1 minute, 33 seconds. Now, I know mine might sound a tiny bit radical, and it might immediately appeal to some, but believe me, it won't immediately appeal to others. Your story is going to be unique to you, and there will be people that it will immediately appeal to. But most of all, it will testify about our God who is in the business of doing it again. So start sharing, and who knows, with prayer, who might be listening. Be blessed.